The Indiana Hoosiers are making 5 stars a priority.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into this, the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Gauns. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen each and every day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, thank you so much for being here, and shout out to all of my everydayers, those of you that come back Monday through Friday, 365. You are appreciated. So thank you so much for being here, and shout out to all of you on audio and on video as well. Well, Indiana basketball, and this shouldn't be a secret to anybody, but just in case people forgot, we are making 5 stars a huge priority when it comes to our 2025 recruiting class, because we just keep going and seeing them, and now we got guys gaining their 5th star as well. Talking about that today, plus Braylon Mullins getting that 5th star. What does that mean? Updates on the rankings right now for Indiana recruits, and then what is UCLA? That's a huge question about this UCLA football team. We just don't know a whole lot about them. So we'll give you a little bit of insight later in the show today. 5 stars are a priority. They're a must right now for Indiana basketball. And this fall recruiting period has been wide open for this Indiana staff. We'll start with a familiar name that the Hoosiers went to see 4 deep yet again. Remember how I said how Indiana's doing it different than everybody else? Nobody else wants to send 4 people to see a recruit. Indiana does. Indiana doesn't care. Indiana doesn't mind to do it at all. They've sent head coach Mike Woodson and 3 assistants almost everywhere. Almost everywhere. We'll get to that in a second. But they were in to see Eric Reibe at the Bullis School over in Maryland, a guy we all know very, very well. And let's be real, he has become the number 1 target for Indiana in terms of a center. With Malachi Marino gone, he's committed to Kentucky, and our buddy Lance Dahl locked on Kentucky. Very happy about that. We have now had to move on, and that's how recruiting goes. Eric Reibe has taken over that spot. Eric Reibe has become the guy at the center position that the Hoosiers are after. And you know a lot about this guy. 7 foot tall. He's a top 30 player in the 2025 class. He's got offers from literally everywhere. But here's what's important about Eric Reibe. In case you forgot, right, as this episode comes out, we're just over a week away from his official visit at Indiana. So it's amazing to watch, really, that this staff is willing to get in the car or get on the plane or whatever and go to Maryland and see him at his school, because you can do that now, right? You could go to school and open gyms and a house and families and things like that. That's what this fall recruiting period allows you to do. And I love to see that a week away from his official visit, Indiana didn't just sit back and say, well, he's coming to us next week. We'll just wait. We'll just hang out. It's fine. It's fine. How much can happen in a week? We'll see him next weekend. Because remember, he's going to be here the weekend of September 20th with Braylon Mullins and Trent Sisley. That was not the original plan, but that is how it is now shaped up. But Indiana wasn't satisfied with that. We were not just going to sit back and wait for him to come to campus. No. We got in the car or on the plane or whatever. I assume it's probably a jet. And they flew out to Maryland, and they went to see this guy. They went to see him. They went to talk to him, because he's already been on official visits, and they've already got guys, or he already has schools coming to see him. According to this list, Oregon came to see him. Kansas and UConn came to see him. Indiana saw him. Creighton saw him. Oregon's coming back to see him. Like, you have to be in the mix here. That's what I've continued to tell you, Indiana fans. We have to be in the mix here. And just sitting back and watching won't get it done. And Indiana's doing a phenomenal job. So we saw Eric Reibe 4 deep there. And then we went to see a guy in Virginia. Somebody that, I'll be honest, we haven't talked a whole lot about because I didn't exactly feel good about this. But Indiana feels good enough to at least take the time to go see him, and you never know how it could shape up. How about a top 5 player in the 2025 class? How about a guy that they're talking about could have the best NBA potential in the entire class? I'm talking about 6'9", 185-pound power forward out of Virginia, Nate Ament. Yes, Nate Ament, that guy. You remember him? He's still really good at this whole basketball thing. We didn't forget about him. I just thought he had kind of fallen off the radar of Indiana a little bit. But I love to see that we're still trying. You never know, right? You never know. What's the worst they can do? Say no, right? That's the worst they can do. It's like asking your mom for a piece of candy growing up. She's not going to beat you. She's just going to say no. Same thing here. Indiana has not given up on the top 5 player, Nate Ament. Mike Woodson was there. And it sounds like Kenya Hunter and Brian Walsh were also there. They visited him at his Highland High School in Virginia. A guy, if you forget what he brings to the basketball floor, just go look up a video. It's phenomenal. He's extremely talented, can shoot from anywhere, can put the ball on the floor. I think he's got to get a little better defensively. He's skinny. I was going to say scrawny, but he's skinny. There's no doubt about it. He's got to put on some beef a little bit and a little muscle, but he's a really good basketball player. And again, there's a reason they're talking about this guy being one of the best, if not the best NBA prospect in the 2025 class. He's a superstar. And his list of schools shows it, of his scholarship offers. Indiana, Duke, UConn, Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, Creighton, Georgetown, Iowa, Louisville, Michigan, Missouri. Do I need to go on? There's 50 schools on this list. And he could play anywhere in the country. And as of right now, there is no visit scheduled for him in Bloomington. I'm told that they're working on it. They'll see. We'll find out. But you know how you figure that out? You know how you propose that offer to him? Not over text, not on a phone call, not on a DM. No. You go and see him. You see him in person, and you make him a priority. And that's what the Hoosiers are doing right now. Making 5 stars a priority. They are a must for Indiana basketball, and I love to see it. And speaking of 5 stars, one of our guys just became a 5-star. He got a boost in the rankings. We'll tell you about that. We'll give you an update on our recruits and where they are right now in the current rankings for 2025. That's coming up next on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Factor Meals. Look, they gave me a whole script. I don't need it. Factor Meals are phenomenal. I got my first big box this week. I was supposed to get it a week ago. That was on me. I delayed. I wasn't able to get my information in there. So I got it here this week. And let me tell you, it's phenomenal. You can heat it up 2 ways. 2 minutes in the microwave or 7 minutes in the oven, whichever one you prefer. I typically heat it up in the microwave at work for lunch, and I heat it up in the oven when I'm at home for dinner. And they're delicious, man. They're so good. Just pierce the top with a fork, pop it in the microwave, and you're done 2 minutes later. I've had shrimp and zucchini noodles with a garlic broccoli. Delicious. Last night I had a pork tenderloin with green beans and red peppers. Phenomenal. The other day I had a sausage rigatoni pasta. Dude, it was unbelievable. Factor Meals is where it's at. It's healthy, it's delicious, and it's convenient. I'm telling you, my personal experience. I'm not messing with you, man. Factor Meals are where it's at. So head to factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50. and use the code LOCKEDONCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code LOCKEDONCollege50 at factormeals.com/LOCKEDONCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Go right now and get Factor Meals. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel. That's because they're America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we've got something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet just $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. And if that's not enough for you, be sure to check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app and use it for FanDuel's Double Your Winnings for all of Sunday, September 15th. So this upcoming Sunday, they're doing a massive profit boost with Double Your Winnings, okay? Pre-game moneyline bets. Profit boost will be live starting on Thursday. That's today. View your account and be sure to go and learn more about your boost on your FanDuel account, okay? So just visit FanDuel.com just FanDuel.com, apologies. FanDuel.com, okay? Get a YouTube TV account. Be sure you get that so then you can have a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket. You've got Profit Boost going on this weekend for Sunday on the 15th. So all of that at FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back to Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you again for being here. Shout out to all my everydayers. I say this, I think, just about every day. I see you, I hear you, and I appreciate you. And I mean that with everything in my heart, man. We are growing. And I was just talking to some of my Locked On bosses yesterday, and they're taking notice, okay? They see what we're doing here, and we're growing by the day, by the week, and by the month. And you are the reason for that. So thank you so much for doing that and supporting this free show to you. If you're on audio, you can help us out a little bit. Follow the show, subscribe to the show, turn on notifications, whatever you got to do on that side of things to be sure you never miss a new episode, okay? I know there's a lot of you over there, and I don't want you to miss out on anything at Locked On Hoosiers. All of you on the video side watching on YouTube right now, couple of ways to help us out really quick. Like this video, step 1. Step 2, comment down below, how many 5 stars will the Hoosiers land in 2025? I need your predictions right now. How many 5 stars will the Hoosiers land in 2025? Drop those in the comments down below. And then the best way to help us, all right, it's free, it's easy, takes 2 clicks. Hit our show logo, Locked On Hoosiers, and then click on subscribe. That's the best way to help us. You then become an everydayer, and you also get notified every time we post a new episode, which there will be a new weekly Big Ten episode dropping tonight, so be sure you keep an eye out for that as well. The Big Ten squad got together again, and don't you worry, I came to our defense for Indiana to beat UCLA. Don't you worry, I got us, and we're talking more UCLA coming up in the next segment, so be on the lookout for that as well, okay? Well, speaking of 5 stars, a guy that we have talked so much about. You know his name. You know where he's from. You know his height. You know his weight. And you know just how good he is at basketball. Braylon Mullins. He's so good at basketball that he is now officially a 5-star wherever you want to look. All right. Braylon Mullins picked up that 5-star in the overall rankings from 247 Sports. And if you haven't noticed, that's typically where I go. I cover multiple teams and always keeping up with teams and things like that. And 247 is where I go for a lot of my rankings in terms of recruiting football and basketball. It's just what seems to be easiest when I'm trying to look around and figure things out. And so that's what we're talking about here. And Mullins has officially picked up his 5th star. And it's kind of crazy to think he wasn't a 5-star before, but we know the story here, right? We know the story of how he was very underrated, flew under the radar, and then just blew up on the scene in the past 12 months. That is how the story goes for Braylon Mullins. And as he is now one of the best shooters in the class. Here you go. This is a perfect example. A year ago, it says, Mullins was ranked the 94th prospect in the class and is now up to number 16. Think about that. He's no longer top 30. He's top 20 now in the country. So shout out to Braylon Mullins and congratulations to him, man. That's such a big deal to take that big of a jump because it just doesn't happen all that much, right? It doesn't happen that often to make a 90. What did that say? It said 94 to 16. Goodness, that's insane. Good for him, man. That's phenomenal. And to go along with the theme of today's show of Indiana, us making 5 stars a priority, there's another one. Nicely done, Indiana. You found yourself a 5-star who just happened to get his rankings boost. And so you look at who we're going after right now, right? You look at the recruits that are really in the circulation, in the cycle, if you will, for what Indiana's trying to do. Look at these 5-stars that we have. Ament, Mikel Brown, Jalen Haralson, Braylon Mullins. All of those are top 20 players in the country. Bryson Tiller's right there too. He's still top 20. He is ranked number 20 in the 2025 class. So, I mean, well, he's not a 5-star. He's damn near it, right? He's very, very close to being a 5-star. He actually went down a little bit in his rankings. And look, out of all of these guys, including Eric Reibe and Trent Sisley, who are major 4-stars, as I've continued to tell you, are we going to get them all? No, we're not. We're not. I can promise you, we're not going to get them all. That team would be ridiculously stacked. I mean, you're talking about 3 power forwards, a center, a small forward, a shooting guard, and a point guard. I mean, sure, that's fine. Come on, bring them all. We got room for you. That's fine. Everybody else get out. And we'll just start a bunch of 5- and 4-star freshmen. No, we're not going to get them all. But I can't stress to you enough how big this is to be going after these kids and how many of them are from Indiana. We know Jalen Haralson. We know Braylon Mullins, right? Trent Sisley was an Indiana kid. He's playing down in Florida right now. I mean, we're talking about guys that are from the area, and even in Maryland and Virginia, like that's still in this part of the country, right? And we can only talk about if we get them for so long. And I know that there are people who are getting frustrated with this whole process because we've been here before. We've been in this spot before. 5-star here, 5-star there, 4-star over there. Indiana talks to him. Indiana offers. Indiana visits. Indiana's in the final 3. Here's decision day. And they go somewhere else. We've seen this story before. It has to change right now. It has to change. And I believe it will. I really do believe that it will change this year because it just seems different. It feels different. The effort is a little bit more. The buy-in is a little bit more. And the support is a little bit more. And I just think it's a little bit different this year. So trust me on that. Ultimately, I could be wrong. Sure, I very well could be wrong. But you start looking at Ament, top 5. Mikel Brown, top 10. Haralson, top 15. Mullins, top 20. Tiller, top 20. Reibe, top 30. And Sisley is still top 70. Yeah, that's legit. That's legit. You're going after the right dudes, and you can make a case on every single one of those on how they could end up in Bloomington. All in all, go get some. You're making them a priority. You're making them a must. Now, if you're Mike Woodson and this staff, you have to go land big recruits. Well, coming up on our final segment on Locked On Hoosiers, what is UCLA? Who are they? What team are we going to see on Saturday night in Los Angeles? I don't know. Guess you'll find out next. Coming up on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn is not just another job board, all right? LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you just can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70%, that's right, 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're simply just looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. That's a day, folks. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. So you need to join the 2.5 million small businesses who are using LinkedIn for hiring, because you're simply in the wrong if you're not, because they know what's up. They know what they're doing. So join those 2.5 million small businesses to use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Final segment on Locked On Hoosiers. Again, appreciate you being here. All my everydayers, you are the best. And we appreciate you each and every day being here Monday through Friday. And the big question going into this weekend for Indiana football and a lot of fans is, man, what's UCLA? What is this team? Who are they? We have no idea what they're going to be. And you bring up a good point, because this is a UCLA team that is 1-0. Okay, they're 1-0. Cool. That's sweet. That's fine. Good for them, right? All right, they're 1-0. Wait, if you may ask, Jacob, who'd they beat? Did they blow somebody out in week one? Did they blow out their version of a Western Illinois? I mean, did they take care of business in week one? Well, not necessarily. They played Hawaii on the road and had to come back to beat the Rainbow Warriors 16-13. That's gross. That's disgusting. That's not okay. That's not cool for them. And then they had a week off. They had a bye week. Don't know how that happened, but they did. And so this UCLA team, you can look at the stats if you want to. They're not pretty. There's not much to look at, because they had one game. It was a terrible game against Hawaii where they scored 16 points, right? You can look at their stats and say, okay, Ethan Garbers, you threw for 272, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Your quarterback rating was pretty good, but what do we know about you? Your completion percentage was 50%. Okay, you can look at their rushing yards, and guess what? Their quarterback led them in rushing yards. That includes a sack on his day as well. So we just don't know a whole lot about this UCLA team. I think they're very talented. I do. I think they're talented. I think they're better defensively than people are going to give them credit for. And I think it is a disadvantage to us for them to have a bye week right before, right? I would say in most cases, it is disadvantageous. Is that how you say that? I don't know. Let's roll with it. It is disadvantageous for a team to have a bye week in week 2 most of the time, especially if you destroy your non-conference weak opponent in week 1, unless you play, a Georgia Clemson type of matchup. I think it's not very helpful to have that bye week in week 2, unless you play as putrid as UCLA did. Then, yeah, maybe you may want it, especially now with Big Ten play opening up so quickly for them. And yes, I'm still getting used to it. I'm still getting used to Indiana going out to UCLA, playing at the Rose Bowl, and this being a Big Ten conference game. But it is what it is. And UCLA played so bad that Indiana's favored against UCLA on the road. Feels a little odd, doesn't it? We don't really know what to do with our hands, Ricky Bobby style, because it just doesn't seem right. It just seems odd because we haven't been here a whole lot recently. But I think this is a UCLA team that can hang around, and Indiana should be feeling confident. And we know that they are based off of what Curt Cignetti had to say this week, right? Business trip, going out, taking care of business. We expect to win this game. And I think a lot of us Indiana fans, I think we have gotten to that point where, I think we kind of expect to win this game as well. And we're going to have more of a preview on this on tomorrow's show. But here's what I want to say. All right, here's what I want to say. If we don't, we cannot be disappointed because we're not there yet. We're not supposed to be here yet. We're not supposed to be a team that in week 3 of the season, after stopping 2 bad opponents, that goes on the road and opens up Big Ten play with a win. Doesn't mean I don't want it. Doesn't mean I won't predict it. Doesn't mean I don't somewhat expect it. But my main point here is don't be overly disappointed if it doesn't happen, especially if this Indiana team plays a good game and it comes down to the wire and they just get beat at the end. Especially then. Now, if we go out and turn it over 7 times and have negative rushing yards and whatever, then yeah, then we've got a different situation there, a different conversation. But overall, let's go out and win. Let's go out and have fun, right? Enjoy this game. And I'm talking kind of about us here more than the team. Have fun watching our team play, and hopefully they can carry over some of the offensive momentum, play stellar defense like they have so far, and go out and get a win over UCLA. Before Charlotte next week, you have a chance to be 4-0, and then Maryland comes to town. Could you imagine? The world's not ready for a 5-0 Indiana football team. I'm just letting you know. They're not ready for it. But it starts with UCLA this weekend. We just don't know a whole lot about them. We really, really don't. But we'll have more on them tomorrow. I've done my research. I suggest you do the same, and we'll talk more about them coming up on tomorrow's show, because that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. I appreciate you, man. Shout out to all my everydayers. You are phenomenal. You guys are great, and we're growing over here like crazy, okay? Be sure, if you're on YouTube right now, like this video, comment down below. Does Indiana beat UCLA? Let's get some score predictions. Let's get those going down there, okay? Plus, be sure you subscribe to the channel by hitting our show logo, Locked On Hoosiers, and then hitting the subscribe button, okay? We are back tomorrow for the final show of the week, talking more basketball, previewing UCLA and other games around the Big Ten, all right? That's coming up on tomorrow's show. Until then, Hoosier fans, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.